Honorable Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Honorable Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Honorable Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. This extraordinary and profound teaching is hard to encounter over eons of time. Now that I have found it and am beginning to practice, may I understand its true meaning as intended by the Buddha. This is chapter 25 of the Dharma Lotus Blossom Sutra. Chapter 25 is called the Universal Gateway of Observer of the World Sounds Bodhisattva. Avalokiteshvara, Chinese is Guan Si Yin, is the number one archangel in the Buddhist world. It's the statue of a lady with multiple faces, multiple hands. That is Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, or Observer of the World Sound Bodhisattva, or Guan Si Yin Pusa in Chinese. At that time, Endless Intention Bodhisattva arose from his seat, bared his right shoulder as a sign of respect, placed his palms together in front of his chest as he faced the Buddha and spoke these words. World honored one, on account of what causes and conditions is observer of the world sounds, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva referred to as observer of the world sounds. So why is he called the observer of the world sounds, Bodhisattva? The Buddha told Endless Intention Bodhisattva, good son, if there were an incalculable number of hundreds of thousands of tens of thousands of millions of beings who were undergoing all manners of suffering and affliction, if, having heard of this observer of the world sound Bodhisattva, they single-mindedly uttered the name, then the observer of the world sound Bodhisattva would immediately observe the sound of their voices and they would succeed in gaining liberation. The Bodhisattva listens without judgment. That's why it's called observe the sound, rather than processing, listening, judging, and getting angry about certain things. The old sutra is useful to reduce negative karma, reduce delusion, drop libido, and reduce fearless. It bestows fearlessness. If there are those who uphold the name of this observer of the world sounds Bodhisattva, even if they were to enter a conflagration, big fire, that fire would be unable to burn them. This is on account of the awesome spiritual power of this Bodhisattva. If they were swept away by a great flood, if they uttered his name, then they would immediately find a shallow place. This is a big promise. Think about it. So when there's a flood and you are being swept away, and if you go observer of the world sound Bodhisattva, or if you go Guan Si Yin Pusa, or if you say Avalokiteshvara, that means you would immediately touch down in a shallow place. If there were hundreds of thousands of tens of thousands of millions of beings who went to sea in order to seek gold, silver, vajradhara, jewelry, mother of pearl, agate, coral, amber, pearls, and other such jewels, and if there then arose a black wind, a bewitched wind, which blew over their ship so that they capsized and descended into the regions of the Rakshas ghosts. If there was even just one person among them who uttered the name of observer of the world sounds Bodhisattva, all of these people would succeed in escaping the calamity of the Rakshas. It is on account of these causes and conditions that he is named observer of the world sounds. If there were also people who were approaching a situation where they were about to be set upon and injured, if they uttered the name of observer of the world sounds Bodhisattva, the knives and clubs wielded by the attackers would break into pieces and they would succeed in escaping. My friend in Harbin, Heilongjiang province, China, his father was captured during World War II by the Japanese soldier, and he chanted the name. Well, in his case, he passed out. He said he didn't feel any pain in that encounter. If all of the countries of the great Trichilocosm were filled with yaksas and rakshas, types of demon, intent on afflicting, harming people, causing them to suffer, upon hearing their utterance of the name of observer of the world sounds Bodhisattva, none of these evil ghosts would even be able to cast an evil eye on them. How much the less would they be able to inflict harm? If there were people who were guilty of offenses or innocent of offenses, who were subject to manacles, shackles, leg irons, the cane, or chains, handcuffs, which confine or restrain their bodies. If they utter the name of the observer of the world sound bodhisattva, then the restraints, the handcuffs, and the leg irons would be broken and they would gain their freedom. Big promises. It may be that the lands of the great Trikila cosm were full of hostile thieves, and there is a leader of traders guiding merchants with a cargo of precious jewels down a dangerous road. It may be that someone calls out, "Good man, don't be afraid. You should single-mindedly call out the name of observer of the world sound bodhisattva. This bodhisattva is able to bestow fearlessness on beings." So when you recite the name, your fear will go away. And me and my other buddies who have been doing this for maybe over a decade, chanting this sutra, it indeed takes away your fear. If you utter the name, then you should be able to escape from these hostile thieves. If when the group of merchants hear this, they then all raise their voices proclaiming, "Namo, Namo, observer of the world sound bodhisattva." Namo means venerable, honorable. On account of uttering his name, they will immediately succeed in escaping. Endless intention, the awesome spiritual power of observer of the world sound bodhisattva, Mahasattva, big bodhisattva, is so lofty and mighty to be like this. A bodhisattva is a person who dedicates his or her life to reduce the suffering of all living creatures, past, present, and future. Bodhicitta is the heart of the enlightened mind, the heart that says, "I want to attain full enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings." And the bodhisattva vow goes like, "For as long as space shall endure, and for as long as there are sentient beings, may I to abide to alleviate the suffering of all sentient beings." So if there are sentient beings who are afflicted with much sexual desire, very lustful, if they are constantly mindful and respectful towards observer of the world sound bodhisattva, they will then succeed in transcending desire. If they are afflicted with much anger, if they are constantly mindful and respectful towards observer of the world sound bodhisattva, they will then succeed in transcending hatred. If they are afflicted with much stupidity, ignorance so to speak, if they are constantly mindful and respectful towards observer of the world sound bodhisattva, they will then succeed in escaping stupidity. So that's it for today.